Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. When I'm working with a lot of avoidance in therapy, particularly with couples, I work with individuals as well, but I do work with couples a little bit more, especially nowadays. There is typically some sort of key or some sort of emphasis on something that can really help avoidance to fall in love or be more aware of their feelings, okay? Now, a lot of people think it's space or absence. And from my experience as a therapist and just understanding these folks, I would not call it space or absence, okay? I think it's of a similar vein, but I don't think that's actually the correct terminology, and I don't think that's actually the correct direction. I don't think it helps fully, and I'm going to explain. It is not space or absence, even though it might feel like that to you, but it's not actually legitimate space or absence. That's like, it can help, but you can still do this without doing that. And I'll explain it. It's basically the absence of the high frequency of disagreements. And I know this word might be a little triggering, but this is common in therapy, what avoidants say. It's the absence of emotional neediness. So basically, when you guys are apart, that automatically happens. If you guys broke up or your space or long distance or whatever, or no contact, whatever the new things are going on, I don't even know, okay? I don't know, okay, y'all? I really don't. Whatever that is, okay? Those things do create that environment, but that in of itself is not the reason. It doesn't mean you guys have to break up for them to know sometimes, but the reason why that happens is because a lot of times when you guys are broken up, what you start doing is you're less needy or emotionally attached to them or dependent. They call it needy, right? And you don't pick as much fights because you're not in each other's space like that anymore. And you're trying to move on. And that's when avoidance may realize they love you because of that lack of high frequency of disagreements and the lack of emotional dependence upon them. So you can still do that without breaking up. And I think a lot of people do not get that. And part of the reason they don't get that is as soon as you guys get into a relationship again, both fearful avoidants who are leaning anxious and anxious preoccupied, you do that again. You start picking fights again and you become more emotionally dependent again. I'm not picking on you, I'm helping you, right? And so you, in your mind, you think they only like you when you're not there. That's not true. It's just when you're not there, you behave a certain way that fits that criteria that helps them be more safe and comfortable to fall in love. It's more palatable for them to understand. Does that make sense? And so that's the main synopsis of this, okay? And so how can I break that up for you so that we can do it in a more step-by-step, not necessarily step-by-step, but an easier way to approach it so you guys don't have to go through the pain of breaking up with somebody who could very well understand their feelings and you could be more emotionally regulated, okay? Now, let's go ahead and talk about how can we cultivate this dynamic without breaking up the couple. That's the best way to think about this. The very first one is avoid indirect reassurance seeking. Indirect is the main term. You can still ask for reassurance to a low frequency, even medium frequency, right? But I don't I don't think it's healthy to ask for indirect reassurance. Let's say you're like, oh, I guess I'm a really needy person. And you just say that. That's indirect instead of saying, do you think I'm needy? Right? It may help to ask directly for the reassurance you're looking for, because what happens is when you ask for indirect reassurance, your partner may have no clue what you're asking for, and they might say, oh yeah, maybe, because they're just trying to figure out, what are you asking, what do you want, what should I say? And then you take that as them saying you are needy, and then you spiral, and then you get mad at them, and now the picking fights is starting to happen, right? And so that is a cycle that happens a lot. So avoid asking indirect reassurance, and also I would say repetitive reassurance in general. Instead, request and express your feelings a couple times clearly, and then trust them to respond if they do, and give them time. And in between some of these reassurance, you can still follow up. I'm not saying you can't follow up, but I am saying being clear about it is the most helpful for you, right? You don't want to lose this relationship, I imagine. Otherwise, why are you watching the video? And so that's the best option for you, okay? The next one is when you're feeling anxious or lonely. Sometimes what can help is processing what you're feeling first. Pause before reacting, right? Notice the emotion, name it or verbalize whatever is going on, and then try and process what needs to be done. I'm going to give an example. Let's say we have an anxious, preoccupied female, and she had a really hard day at work. Sometimes what happens is she might want to reach out to her boyfriend and complain or be hurt or cry about whatever happened, which is normal. This is a normal response. If it's a very hard day, that's allowed. But Let's say she's doing that every day. I would imagine he's getting overwhelmed and she's getting frustrated because he's not answering the way she wants him to. So what can we do? Try and think about what you're feeling. You had a bad day at work. Maybe your boss is a very difficult boss, very difficult person, and you feel unappreciated. So what you're feeling is, I feel unappreciated by my boss and I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. That's your feeling. And my choice is I can't leave because whatever reason, it's a good job. I get paid well. I like what I do. I just don't like my interactions with my boss. And so finding a way to name that feeling, put it in a little bit more of a solution-oriented fashion, and then you can bring that to your partner. That will make the conversation a little bit more easier. And sometimes you might realize, wait, I don't need to bring this to my partner. Maybe not now. Let me figure it out myself, and then I'll bring it to them. Or I might not have to. Doing that type of technique will really help with these types of relationships. The next one is similar to what we said. We said direct reassurance seeking for the first one. This one is similar. Number 3, express needs clearly and calmly. Saying, I notice we feel disconnected. I feel disconnected when we don't talk much during the week. Could we plan a phone call? That's it. Very clear. How do you feel about that? What's your approach? What's your thoughts? Sometimes adding that end part, how do you feel about that? What are your thoughts? Can help them to feel like they're allowed to make a decision without hurting your feelings, right? The next one is any sort of self-soothing techniques. Add that into your schedule, not even when you're upset, in general. Take care of yourself. Take long showers if that helps. Some people, showers can be very soothing, but other people, it can be very triggering. So whatever's best for you. Cooking is a really good option. In general, a lot of avoidants have this to kind of a maladaptive approach, but you can learn from that to some extent. A lot of avoidants have a lot of self-soothing completely within their schedule, with their life. That's why they're always really busy. They're covering up their feelings without realizing it. That's what's happening. But you can learn from that a little bit. You don't want it too unhealthy, but self-soothing techniques can be very helpful. It can help process emotions and keep you emotionally stable as long as it's not too much. But I hope that made some sense. Examples being cooking. I love cooking. That really helps me. Actually making videos helps me too. Doing my homework and writing my paper dissertation, that actually helps me too. Those are some of my examples. My partner, he likes playing cards. He likes playing or shooting pool. He likes those types of things. Those things are helpful for him. And that can kind of create emotional balance. Like even sometimes when I'm having a stressful day, sometimes I literally just bake something and I don't even want to eat it and I just give it to him. But it helps me just to do that. It makes me feel like I'm in control of what I'm doing. And that's kind of my thing. I like to have some control of what I'm doing. And that helps me to stay calm. Even though we both are not anxious, preoccupied, but still, just an example, okay? The next one is challenge your negative thoughts, okay? Example, your partner didn't text you back and now you're thinking they don't care. Sometimes replace that or give it a little bit more reality. Might say they're probably busy, we're good. Or you might say, if they don't text me back, and go through the path, right? Go through all the way down to the biggest fear, right? If they don't text me back, this means they don't care. And if that means they don't care, they're not worth my time. They don't care about me, or I don't want to stay in a relationship with somebody who's not able to process that. Or you can say, if they don't text me back, we need to have a conversation about my texting expectations and what they're willing to give. And so you can challenge those thoughts in a realistic and rational way instead of reacting entirely emotional to help you manage yourself, okay? The next one is you want to have genuine appreciation and affection for your partner. Appreciate the good things they do, and say it out loud so that you can remember it, so they can feel it, and you can have a more positive connection between y'all. And the last one is have any sort of shared rituals, saying good morning to each other, making each other a cup of coffee, or whatever you guys want to do, right? Taking walks together. Do something that's built into the routine, and so you guys always have that security. Let's summarize, and then we'll wrap it up. Avoid indirect reassurance seeking. Notice and name your emotions. Basically, process your emotions before bringing it to your partner, at least a little bit. Express your needs clearly. Engage in self-soothing techniques in general throughout, not just when you're upset. Challenge your negative thoughts and also process them in a logical way. Share genuine appreciation and affection. And the last one is have shared rituals. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.